Okay, today we're going to solve percent problems using equations. We've solved percent problems already, and we've used proportions, and I think we've been pretty successful with it, and we've seen that can be a pretty effective way, and it's going to continue to work for you. But we don't want to stunt our mathematical growth here, so let's look at a different way to do it that you might find easier in other circumstances. So here's the equation we're going to work with here. Um, well, let's start off with a sentence here actually. A percent of a whole is a part. Percent of a whole is a part. That's just common sense. So percent times whole equals part. That's the equation that we're going to use. Some of you might have learned this already. Percent times of equals is. So percent of a number equals what it is. It's also an easy, those keywords of and is are easy ways to kind of identify the parts that you need out of the sentence or out of the statement. Okay, so we're going to solve by writing and solving equations in A through D. We're going to choose whether to express the percent as a fraction or as a decimal, because it really doesn't matter. I mean, you got to choose one or the other, but it doesn't matter. They'll both get you the same answer. It's just sometimes a fraction is easier and sometimes a decimal is easier. 6% of $4,500 is how much money? Explain why your answer is reasonable. Okay, 6% of the whole thing, $4,500, is what part? I'm going to use a decimal here. And I'm just going to go ahead and multiply 0.06 times 4,500, and that's $270. Okay, so is my answer reasonable? Yeah, 6% is a very small part of $4,500. Okay, 10% of $4,500 is $450. I guess we should all know that. 5% would be half of that, so that'd be $225. So yeah, $270 makes sense for 6%, a little bit more than 5%. Let's do that again. 20% of what number is 40? This is a little bit different. 20% of an unknown number is 40. Okay, so notice the difference here. 20% of, multiply, an unknown number, because we don't know what we're taking 20% of, but it does equal 40 after we take 20% of it. So I'm going to use fraction here. 20% is 1/5. Okay, I could write this as 0.2, and then I could divide both sides by 0.2, but I'm going to use 1/5. I know that 20% is 1/5 of 100%, and then I'm going to multiply both sides by 5. So I can do that in my head. 40 divided by 0.2, I don't know what the heck that is. But 40 times 5, yeah, I know that that's 200. So you can see that fractions can be easier. So I just expressed that 20% as a fraction. Does my answer make sense? 20% of 200, is that 40? Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. It should be 1/5 of 200 should be 40. So how much is a 15% tip on a $13.25 meal? And we're going to round our answer to the nearest dime. Yeah, we're not going to leave pennies as a tip here, so we'll just round to the nearest dime. Here we go. How much is a 15% tip? 15% tip of $13.25. I'm going to go ahead and just use decimals here. I'm going to multiply. Most of you are probably going to grab a calculator. I don't blame you. 0.15 times 13.25 is 1.9875. So to the nearest dime, it's $2. So just go ahead and leave a $2 tip. And how much money is 16 2/3% of $1,200? Now that 16 2/3% is going to freak a lot of people out, but here's our setup. 16% of the whole thing, $1,200, is the part. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first off write 16 2/3% as 50/3%. Then, to change that into, to get that out of percent form, I'm going to go ahead and make it, 50 over 300. And now it's not a percent anymore. Okay, so what I just did was I divided this by 100%. Okay, dividing it by 100% is the same as multiplying it by 1/100th. So 50/3 percent is the same as 50 over 300. And then I can do some easy simplifying here. 300 goes into 1200 4 times, and 50 times 4 is 200. So 16 2/3% of $1,200 is $200. Okay, and again, if you just look at it as, 10% is $120 and 20% is $240, so it should be somewhere between $120 and $240. So $200 does make sense. What percent of 50 is 32? What percent of 50 is 32? Now, this is the first time we haven't known the percent, so we're going to use x. X times 50 equals 32. Percent of the whole thing equals the part. So I'm going to divide both sides by 50. 32 divided by 50 is 0.64. So my answer is 64%. There is that added step at the end there. Your answer isn't 0.64%. It's 64%. 64% of 50. 64% is a little bit more than half. Half of 50 is 25, so 32 is a little bit more than half. 64%. Dixon made a $2,000 down payment on an $8,000 car. The down payment was what percent of the price? Okay, and we've set these up before using ratio tables, but today we're going to use this percent equation. So what percent of the $8,000 is $2,000? Divide both sides by 8,000, and you get 1/4 or 0.25, so it's 25%. And last one for today. Kimo paid $24 for the shirt, which was 75% of the regular price. What was the regular price? Okay, so we know that 75% of the regular price that we don't know is $24 because that's what he paid. And right here, some key things. Which was $24 was 75% of the regular price. Those are some key things I look for. $24 was 75% of the regular price. So 75% of the unknown regular price is $24. I'm going to change that 75% to 3/4, and then I'm going to multiply both sides by 4/3. Works out pretty good here. 3 goes into 24 8 times, and 8 times 4 is $32. So the regular price was $32. He paid 75% of that, $24. All right, we're done for today. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow.